I hope you did it already. And the last one is important for examination. LPP is defined as a mathematical method of solving practical problems such as allocation of resources by means of linear functions, or even you can write it as linear equations where the variables involved are subject to constraints. Where the variables involved are subjected to constraints. It is subject to or subjected to constraints. Anyway, both the ways it's right. Okay, the third definition is very important for examination. Examiner, you must write this last definition. The last definition is well received, accepted in the examination or in your answer scripts. We prefer this anta ashte innenilla, and I go with the, have you taken the three definitions? All of you copied the three definitions? Hello, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, I'll just go to the next slide. Write down this. There is something called as general form of LPP. LPP is a problem, basically a problem which is formulated in the form of simultaneous linear equations. A problem, a managerial problem, a business problem, which is formulated generally in the form of a kind of simultaneous linear equations. Okay, now, okay, you can write like this. Maximum z or minimum z is equal to c1x1 plus c2x2 plus c3x3 dash 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 dash. Okay, till cnxn. Okay, that is your objective function. And explain what is this. ನೋಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆದಂಗೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ, need not to worry. Okay, ನಾವು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. Okay, this is the general form of LPP, and LPP all LPPs will be okay in this general fashion. ಇದೇ ತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. This is the order in which you are supposed to represent the problem. First objective function barutte, then constraints barutte, after that you will get non-negative constraints. Always you need to have this condition, what is called as the x is more than or equal to 0, y is more than or equal to 0. Here we say that your variables never goes to negative. No negative solutions are accepted in LPP, because LPP deals with the real life business problems. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಲೋಕೇಶನ್ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Therefore we call it as non-negative constraints anta. This is our objective function. First you write objective function, general form of LPP. Below that you write objective function. Below that you write down objective function. One second. Hello? I think you have copied this objective function. Either you can write it as z maximum or z minimum is equal to C1 x1 plus C2 x2 plus C3 x3 plus, it continues, Cn dot xn. This is how you should write it. x1, x2, x3, x4 are all your variables. But ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ we will have only two variables. x1, x2 ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ y1, y2 ಇರುತ್ತೆ. It depends. But general form ಆಗಿ up to you should have okay, even it could be n variables. Okay, you cannot have any control on that. But here ನಮ್ಮ syllabus ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎರಡೇ variables ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ okay, you will have only two variables. But this is a general form. C1, C2, C3 are all variable coefficients, where write down where C1 comma C2 comma C3 dash dash Cn are called as variable coefficients or numerical coefficients. Okay. Next, x1 comma x2 comma dash dash xn are the decision variables. Are the decision variables like your distance, time traveled, sales, speed. ಈ ತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು x1, x2, x3 ತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ. Okay, this is general form. Now, after objective function, you write it as constraints. Constraint equations, or you can write it as better linear constraint equations. Okay, as we all know very much, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ, it is subjected to certain conditions. Agreed? Your profit or cost is a conditional statement. Now, what is conditional statement? Anybody? Hello? As I mentioned, there is something called as if conditions. Profit is also subjected to certain conditions. Even cost is also subjected to certain conditions, alva? Hello, say yes or no. You are there with me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. I hope you are getting my point. Yeah, both the profit as well as cost, they are all subjected to certain conditions and the constraints. It is not for free. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಹೆಂಗ ಇದ್ರೆ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. You need to satisfy certain conditions. We call it as prerequisites. And mathematically we call them as constraints. Conditions or constraints or restrictions, or okay, you can call them as challenges. But mathematically, okay, we call them as subjected to conditions or subjected to constraints, and that is written in the form of a matrix. A matrix form alli baritare. You have already studied about matrix algebra in your 4th semester alli. Matrices and determinants anta ಓದಿದಿರಲ್ವಾ. ಈ conditions ಎಲ್ಲಾನು they will be in the form of okay, certain what is called as equal rows and equal columns. Okay, symmetrical matrix shape alli irutte. Okay, generally you write them as A11 x1 plus A12 x3 plus dash dash dash. You can write as A1n, A1 n star xn. Now here this is maybe less than or maybe more. It depends on, okay, it is they said it is less than or equal to a constant called as b1 anta. Similarly, okay, it goes on. First A anta barutte, amele B anta barutte, amele C anta barutte, amele D anta barutte. You can just type it like that. Okay, it is only a general form. Okay, you can take B1, you can take B2, you can take B3, and ನಾನು BM ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. Okay, it could be, it all depends on the number of conditions. ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಇದು equations ಬರುತ್ತೆ. How many restrictions you have, okay, so many number of restricted equations you will get. It all depends on the number of restrictions or number of constraints. Okay, and below that you have to write it as below that you have to write it as non-negative constraints. ಅದ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, non-negative conditions. There x is more than or equal to 0, y is also more than or equal to 0. If x and y are your variables considered, okay, or if you say x1, x2 are the variables that you are considering, x1 should also be more than or equal to 0, and your x2 should be also more than or equal to 0. ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿ x, y ಅಂತ ಬರ್ದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. Okay, even it could be x1 and x2. Okay, x, y, p, q ಏನ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. But these variables should be always positive. The variables are the solution, I can say, should be positive. That is what is called as non-negative conditions or non-negative constraints. This is the general form. Now take this problem. Okay, first you take Z, first you take minimum Z. Okay, ಇದನ್ನ maximum ಗೂ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, minimum ಗೂ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. First you take, solve the following LPP. Solve the following LPP. Take this problem. ಒಂದು ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಏನು ಅಂತ. Z minimum is equal to 7x1 plus 6x2. You can take it as 7x plus 6y. ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. x1 x2 ಬೇಡ ಅಂದ್ರೆ x, y ಅಂತ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಇಲ್ಲ x1 x2 ಅಂತ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ನೋ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. You can take this as 7x1 plus 6x2. x1 x2 ಅಲರ್ಜಿ ಆದ್ರೆ x, y ಅಂತ ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. x1 ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ x ಬರೀರಿ, x2 ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ y ಬರೀರಿ. Doesn't make any difference. Subjected to the conditions, there it follows there 3x1 plus 1x2, 3x1 3x1 plus
Can
x2.
you go back the slide, sir?
Okay, 1 second. Yeah. ಎಲ್ಲಾಯ್ತದು? This is the one.
No, sir.
No,
Example.
sir. Slide 10. 10th slide, sir.
11th slide, sir.
Yeah, this is right. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah, this is right. This is the one. 7x1 plus 6x2 subjected to 3x1 plus x2 more than or equal to, sorry, less than or equal to 120. Next, divided by, sorry, one more, x1 plus 2x2 more than or equal to 160. We have one more equation, x1 more than or equal to, sorry, x1 less than or equal to 35. You should read like this: 3x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 120, x1 plus 2x2 less than or equal to 160, x1 less than or equal to 35. ಇಲ್ಲಿ x2 ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, x2 ಗೆ ಏನು ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತೆ, only x1 they have mentioned, and below that they have written it as non-negative constraints or non-negative conditions. x1 should be more than or equal to 0, x2 should be more than or equal to 0, x1 and x2 both should be positive. We are evaluating the whole problem for the values of x1 and x2. You need to find the values of x1 and x2 subjected to these conditions. This problem is all about finding the suitable values of x1 comma x2 okay, subjected to conditions. Don't touch your screen, just copy it. Have you copied the problem? Hello?
Yes, sir. Writing, sir.
Okay, please write. It is clearly mentioned that where x1 and x2 are called as a decision variables. Based on x1 and x2, you can take the decision. Please copy the problem.
Done, sir.
Shall I continue with the solution?
Sir, wait,
Hello?
sir.
Okay, okay. Please copy it. Got it? Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now here, you write down solution. Now you write down solution. Step 1. Step 1 you write. All of you write down step 1. Replace all inequalities by equalities. Step 1. Replace inequalities by equality symbols. Step 1 you write, all of you. Now in that case, it becomes 3x1 plus x2 is equal to 120. Equation 1. Next, x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 160. Next, x1 is equal to 35. Equation 1, equation 2, equation 3. First step solution I'm giving it to you. Have you taken the first step? Hello?
Sir, can you repeat, sir?
Yes, sir.
First equation, first step 1 we say that replace inequalities by equality symbols anta. ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ inequalities ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ವಾ? Less than, more than ಅಂತ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಈ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. You just replace them with equality anta, equal symbols. Look at this. 3x1 plus x2 is equal to 120. Equation 1. Equation 2. x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 160. Equation 3. x1 is equal to 35. Okay. Copy all the 3 equations. We are in the first step. Copied or not?
Yes, sir.
All of you have copied? All of you have copied?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now you take, now you consider equation 1. ಬರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Consider equation 1. It is still in the first step only. Consider equation 1. What is that equation 1 says? 3x1 plus x2 is equal to 120. Correct? Have you taken this equation? Consider equation 1. Yes or no? Have you taken this? After that, put
Yes,
x1 is equal to 0. Put x1 is equal to 0. Then what becomes x2 now? If x1 is equal to 0, automatically, okay, 0, that is 3 into 0 plus x2 is equal to 120 ಅಂತ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ರೈಟಾ? That is x2 is equal to 120. Right? when x1 is equal to 0 in the equation 1, x2 attains a value called as 120. Right? Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Any questions? Hello? Samson, Sanjay, Yashwant, Mayur. Hello? ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ಸ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದ್ಯಾ? ಅಭಿನಂದನ್, ಆಲ್ಬಿನ್, ಅಮನ್.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Yes.
Any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, we have taken the
Sir.
first equation. Yeah, tell me.
ಸರ್ x1 ಗೆ 0 ಯಾಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ಸರ್?
Okay. x1 ಗೆ 0 ಯಾಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಈಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ okay, we'll just go back and I'll answer why we need to put x1 ಗೆ 0 ಯಾಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. Okay?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Give me some time. Okay, so
Okay,
that
sir.
we will get the solution. After that, we'll just work in the backward direction, and then I'll tell you, I'll justify why we need a procedure of this sort. Why we need a procedure of this type ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ answer okay reverse directionally ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆ 0 ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು, ಬೇರೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಾರ್ದು, 1 ಯಾಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಾರ್ದು, 2 ಯಾಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಈಗ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ನ ಅರ್ಧಂಬರ್ಧ ಇಮ್ಮೆಚ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಬೇಡ, ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ಸರು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ವಿಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್. ಹಿಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ 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 ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ 0 ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಜಸ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. ರೈಟ್ ಯಶವಂತ್?
Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Now after that, similarly, once you take x1 is equal to 0, right? Similarly, put x2 is equal to 0 in the same equation. In the same equation, if you take x2 is equal to 0, now I get a new equation called as 3x1 plus 0 is equal to 120. Therefore, 3x1 is equal to 120. Therefore, x1 is equal to 120 divided by 3 is equal to 120 divided by 3. (120 divided by 3 is how much? Hello?
40, sir.
Write down this. Yeah. Got it? Do the same procedure for equation 2 and tell me. Okay, what do you get? Repeat the same procedure for x2, sorry, equation 2. Repeat the same procedure. Repeat the same procedure for equation 2. And you please Okay, leave this last x1 is equal to 35. Okay, just for a moment you forget it. Okay, I'll tell you what to do with that. Okay, after writing your equation 1 and equation 2 and simplifying x1 and x2, okay, share the image in the chat box, all of you. Repeat the same procedure for equation 2. Share it in the chat box. I want the simplification of equation 1 and equation 2. Yeah, we can copy this. Put x1 is equal to 0 in equation 2. x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 120. x1 is equal to 0. x2, 2x2 will be 160 and x2 is equal to 80. And similarly, put x2 is equal to 0 in equation 2. x1 plus 2x2 is equal to 120. If I take x2 is equal to 0, okay, this x1 becomes 120. Okay. All of you copy this.
Sir, how did x1 plus 2x2 become 120 after the equals in equation 2, sir?
Equation 2.
That is 160, sir, not 120.
160, sir.
Rakshita did a mistake. Rakshita? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Very. See there. ಈ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 160 ಬರ್ದು ಬಿಟ್ರಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ 120 ಬರ್ದ್ರಲ್ವಾ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್
Yes, sir, I did.
okay correct it and send it to me. Rectify the mistake. Clinton shared it. Okay. Yeah, it is rectified. Okay, to need to be legible, Rakshita. Rakshita, you're there listening?
Yes, sir.
You need to be legible. Okay, ಇದನ್ನ rewrite ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬಾರ್ದು. You have to
Okay,
rewrite and then okay keep it right. Okay, that's
Sure.
fine. Okay. and Clinton image ಕಳಿಸಿದಾನೆ, ಇದು ಓಪನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. Clinton, your image is not opening, man. Anybody else can share this simplification? Samson, can you? Samson, ಮಾಡಿದ್ಯಾ ನೀನು?
Yes, sir.
Share ಮಾಡಿ. Please share it in the chat box. Sanjan, what about you, man? Yashaswini, have you done it? Share it in the group. Abhinandan.
Sir, I am using laptop, sir.
Okay, then that's fine. Okay, Abhinandan. Abhinandan, no voice at all, not even a question. Even we are not hearing your whispering sound also. ಗಲಾಟೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಭಿನಂದನು, ಆರಾಮಾಗಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಅಮ್ಮನ್,
Yes, sir.
please share it in the group, man, if you have done completed the calculations.
Yes, sir.
Dharnesh, Shritik, there are so many other people, I cannot call all the names. There are 34 people in the group. Okay, Nivedita, how are you? Nivedita?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Samson did it. Good, man. Okay, all your technical issues are rectified, Nivedita. Now it's fine. Your teams are working good. Hello?
Yes, sir. There was a problem with my phone storage, so I was not able to attend.
Okay. I got to know that you have some technical issues. Okay, please follow the steps, and you can
Yes,
check my WhatsApp, YouTube updates also. If you have any question, you can call me. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now, what to do with this last one? Okay, it becomes x1 is equal to 35. You could write down now. Consider equation 3. Consider equation 3. If you say consider equation 3, x1 is equal to 35. By default, x2 becomes 0. x2 is 0. One second. Yeah. There is no way of becoming x1 is equal to 0 because both x1 and x2 are not tied together here. We have only one variable, single variable, mono case, a mono variable anta. Illi x1 is equal to 35 and x2 is equal to 0. You got it? Hello? All of you
Yes, sir.
all of you have understood the simplification of 3 equations, 1, 2, 3?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Hello?
No, sir.
No questions, right? Anybody, any questions? It's already, I think, 12:50. I cannot continue and ask you to plot the graph for this. It takes another minimum 30 minutes to get the final answer. Okay, we'll solve it tomorrow. And it's already 12:47. Okay, approaching 12:50. Any questions I can take?
Sir, x1 is equal to 35 in equation 3 ಅದನ್ನ ಹಂಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡೋದಾ ಸರ್ ಬೈ ಡಿಫಾಲ್ಟ್ x2 0 ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು
ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಯಾಕೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ, ಅದನ್ನೇನು ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎನಿ ರೈಟ್ ಟು ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಓಕೆ x2 is equal to 0. ಸಾರಿ, x1 is equal to 0. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ there is only one variable.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, x2 ಮತ್ತೆ x1 ಎರಡು ಟೈಅಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಇಕ್ವೇಶನ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದನ್ನ ಸಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದನ್ನ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಟು ಸಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಸಪ್ರೆಸ್ಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ x1 is equal to 35 ಅಂತ ಆದ್ರೆ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕಲಿ x2 becomes 0 and you don't have any right to assume x1 as 0. Technically that becomes wrong, assuming x1 is equal to 35, because there is no possibility of becoming x1 is equal to 0. It is a single variable case. Okay, understood, Samson?
Okay sir. Yes sir.
Yeah. Any questions? I'll continue the no ಇದನ್ನ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ ಇದು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಕಂಪಲ್ಸರಿಲಿ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು be equipped with your graph sheets. Graph sheet, a scale and a pencil, and if possible some crayons, color crayons idre itkoliri. Okay, we can also use them. Color crayons idya ನೋಡಿ, ಮನೇಲಿ ಯಾರೋ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಇದ್ರೆ ಕಲರ್ ಕ್ರಯಾನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್, ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೋದು. Are you ready? Tomorrow
Yes, sir.
color crayons idra best amma. Tomorrow we need a scale, pencil, eraser, and color crayons. ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು ನೋಡೋಣ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿಯಾಗಿ ಬರ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. ಇಷ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ನಾಳೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಸಾಲ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಆಫ್ x1 and what is the value of x2 so that your entire z becomes minimum, the least ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. At what particular value of x1 and x2 okay your z becomes minimum ಅದನ್ನ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಬೇಕು. Or at what particular value of x1 and x2 your z becomes maximum. ಇಲ್ಲ ಹೈ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಲೋ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಹೈ ಆಗೋದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೋತೀವಿ, ಲೋ ಆಗೋದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೋತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಅದನ್ನೇ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ವೀಟ್ ವರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೇನೋ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಕೋಟಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಆಪ್ಟಿಮೈಸೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ. ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಇನ್ನೇನಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, I'll just get your download your attendance. Wait a moment. That's it. Shall I close?